Again, thank you. It's good to see everyone and see everyone's names here. This is our fourth community call that the Chamber has put on. For those who don't know me, I think I know just about everybody here. Heidi Betzine is my name, and I am the proud president and CEO of the Lomita Chamber of Commerce. We're happy to say that we celebrated our 1-year anniversary as a brand new organization and chamber in April of this year. And I just want to call attention to some of the people here on this call. We have one of our founding members, Workman Kemp, Teresa Workman is on the line. We have Jim Leadham, the owner of Home Health Depot. He is our sustaining member who renewed this year. And as you can tell, we have a number of members who have renewed this month. This would have been our renewal period. And we're happy to say that we haven't lost a member yet. We've gained some new members. And I just want to thank our founding members. Jim, thank you for your support. Thank you to South Bay Credit Union, everybody listed here for coming on board, and we're here to support you. And Workman and Kemp for all of your help. And we have a few other people on the line as well who are representing our ambassadors, including Dee Dee McGuire. So I apologize if I can't see everyone on this call, but we just appreciate your support, and we're here to support you. So to say the least, it's been a very challenging time and very frustrating, heartbreaking. And we know that our community is strong. We're small but mighty, but we're strong. And part of our moving forward in a positive way is obviously being open to listening, learning, making our community stronger together. And that includes obviously our businesses as well. So we will have a lot of resources on this call. And I think what's going to be easiest for me based on my setup today is just to send you guys an email to follow this up with links to all the information that we have available. And really, as I said last call, let us know if you're comfortable putting it in the chat or send it to me privately. What do you need for your business to reopen? What are those burning questions? That's what we're here to share. So we're going to hear from the city today, talk about some great programs and things that the city of Lomita is doing to really help with the reopening efforts. And I want to say that the city has just been, I think, really progressive as compared to maybe some other cities in our community. And it's just great that we have these opportunities available to us. So I will hand it off to Ryan and Alicia in just a minute. And then I'm going to share an update from the LA County Economic Recovery Task Force. This is an appointment that Janice Hahn has made to bring together different industry sectors and business leaders to have a voice with the county to share really what the businesses need at this time. So I'm going to provide some updates in terms of what that task force is doing. I have been appointed to that task force along with two other local chamber leaders, including Donna Duperon from Torrance Chamber and Elise Swanson from San Pedro Chamber. And so I'm happy to be there to be that voice. So it's going to be a packed call. Hopefully we can stick to our 1 hour, but if we go over, happy to do so. And again, this is interactive Q&A, so please feel free to post your questions in the chat. And I just want to recognize Mayor Pro Tem Mark Warnick. Thank you for being here. Certainly you're welcome to chime in as well. So Alicia, do we have you on the line? Were you able to come back on? You have to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, Alicia and Ryan, for being here from the city of Lomita. I'm going to give you guys the floor.
So what I'm going to do is discuss our small grant program requirements that the city is about to roll out, and then also our commercial expansion permits that we have for businesses that need to spread out outside to meet physical distancing measures. And then I'll also take questions if there's questions regarding either of those items. And I have Ryan here who can take any questions that people might have in regards to kind of the current state of affairs and things that have been going on with the protests. So I'll get started. So the city was allocated about $89,000 through the Federal CARES Act. We are permitted to use those funds for economic development purposes and to help out small businesses. So with that money, we can fund probably about 15 businesses with $5,000 mini grants. But there are requirements to that because we're bound by HUD and CDBG, guidelines. So I'm going to read through these, and then if anyone has questions, we can talk about those. So to qualify, you cannot have more than 25 total full-time equivalent employees. So you could have 40 employees as long as there's a mix of part-time and full-time, so it doesn't equal more than 25 people working 40 hours a week. But if you have multiple locations, I'm not sure if anyone does who's on this call, only the location based in Lomita would be counted. So let's say you have 3 restaurants. It's not an aggregate. It's just the number of employees in the city. So that's the first requirement. The second one is that you have to be located in a commercially zoned property, so not a home occupation permit. It has to be a commercial property with a commercial ground floor storefront within the city limits. So it has to be on the ground floor. It can't be a second floor business. And it has to be an actual commercial storefront in a commercial zone property. You have to have an active City of Lomita business license at the time of application submittal and no outstanding debts to the city. So no outstanding water bills or delinquency payments for not renewing your business license on time. And then here's another one, which is very important. You have to at least have an employee. So this money is supposed to go, it can go towards anything, but you have to have one full-time equivalent employee, and you must try to retain that employee for 1 year. So it could be 2 part-time employees, even 3 part-time employees, but you have to at least have one equivalent person for 40 hours a week. And this is to assist in the retention of that job. So that's the HUD requirement. Their goal is to retain people employed. So if you don't have any employees, you would not be eligible for this program. And then the loan recipient must certify that they will remain open, or if the business is currently closed, they will reopen in a timely manner following the lifting or easing of the COVID-19 restrictions. So those are the program requirements, and then we have some eligibility exclusions in addition to that. So that's any national chain which is not locally franchised is ineligible. Businesses with active code enforcement cases are ineligible. And then also adult businesses and massage facilities, home-based businesses, and those businesses which do not occupy a bona fide ground floor commercial storefront are ineligible. So those are the eligibility requirements to apply. And like I said, though, we can only probably fund 15 businesses through this program. So we think that there's a chance we may have more than 15 businesses apply. So due to that, we've created a process of rating each business with a point system. And this is kind of a lot of information that I'm throwing at you, but it'll all be posted on our website today. But I will go through it kind of quickly. Yes, both websites. Sorry, Ryan chimed in. On our coronavirus website that the city has under Help for Small Businesses, and then it'll also go on our main city website. So there's a total of 40 points which can be awarded, and then it breaks down to business type, the length of time that the business has been in the city, and then if they'll be able to use that money to directly pay the wages of a low to moderate income employee. And that low to moderate income employee is also important. That's a requirement of HUD. And I have those HUD wage, HUD income requirements also as part of this attachment. It's fairly easy though. Let's say it's a one-person household. They just have to be under $63,000 a year. So it's pretty high in LA County. But like I said, that'll be posted on the website. So what we're going to do is then rate all the businesses per this criteria, and any businesses 35 points or greater will be deemed eligible for the initial round of funding. And if there's more than 15 applicants within that 35 points or better, we're going to have a lottery, which will be held by the city clerk. So I kind of threw a lot of information at you right now. So do we want to open it up for questions at this point, Heidi?
Yeah, I think that would be good. You can raise your hand or type in the chat. One quick question I did have, is there a time frame on this, Alicia?
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Great question. So we will only be accepting applications for 2 weeks. And the application period is going to start June 11th. I wanted to make sure we had a week ramp-up time of getting the word out, and then it will be open for 2 weeks after that to the 25th. So it closes on June 25th. So we will not accept applications before June 11th or after June 25th.
Jim Leadham has his actual hand up. So Jim, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself, and then we'll get back to anyone else who has questions.
Yeah, my question is, I applied and was approved for the Paycheck Protection Program, which covers my full-time employees for 8 weeks. But that program has now been expanded to 24 weeks, which means that there will be employees that are no longer covered for that within that 24-week period, including, well, the program is open from 11th to the 25th, but I assume the funding is going on after that. So would I still be eligible even though the Paycheck Protection Program covers my employees through the end of June?
Okay, wait, your paycheck protection program just covers them to the end of this June? I thought you said 24 weeks,
well,
but that's back, right?
Well, it's been expanded to cover more than the end of June, but I will have run out of money because that's how I budgeted it.
Oh. Got it. Yes, then you're fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jim. The person by the name of DPARS, you're on the phone. Did you have a question?
Yeah, this is David Parsons from Summer Studios Arts Academy, and I've got a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, David.
Okay. Hi. Yeah, you know, we've been in existence a long time, but it looks like we don't qualify under an employee, but we've had paid internships, we've had volunteers that do get some compensation, but it has been not a formal employee, but the interns were absolutely official with Cal State Systems. We've had a number of those come through here. So I don't know if there's any lenience on that.
Unfortunately, no, there's not. That is a direct requirement from HUD. That is the purpose of the funds, is to create full-time employment. Mm-hmm. So there's not. So if you're interns, if you have enough interns, though, where you have 40 hours a week, even if it's over 3 people, then you would be eligible. But I don't know, you had mentioned the colleges. So if the colleges are paying for these interns or they're part of a class or something, that wouldn't apply. They would have to be on your payroll.
No, that was on my ticket as far as paid, but they just get credit.
Okay.
Because they do have internships that are paid or not paid, but it is contingent on the business that to pay them or not pay them. And then we 1099 them, so to speak.
1099 them. So they're contracted. I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. It's nice to hear your voice. I know it's been a while. Any other questions out there, Bruno?
Yes, I have a question. The businesses in the downtown area are not zoned commercial, they're zoned something else. And I'm sure, we'll be able to apply. But I just wanted to make sure that the business in the downtown area we're allowed,
Yes.
even if we're not.
Bruno, so the downtown, it is zoned commercial. The downtown is zoned downtown commercial.
Okay.
There is a mixed use overlay which permits residential subject to
Okay.
certain criteria, but the underlying zoning is commercial.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Alicia. Hi, Mark.
No problem. We wouldn't leave you out.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? And then Alicia, I guess if you wanted to move on to the expansion permits. Okay, looks like we don't have any more questions.
Okay. If there's no other questions, okay, great.
Jim Leadham has a finger up. Wait. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay.
My question is, the length of business, the length that the business has been in Lomita is the longer length more of a point than a shorter length?
Yes, exactly. So I can let you know how that goes. So length of time with continuous operation, the maximum number of points you can get for that category is 15, and that's for 5 years or more. If you've been in business from 2 to 4 years, that's 10 points, and less than 2 years is 5 points.
Thank you.
All right, do you want to talk about expansion permits?
Yeah. So this will be pretty quick. It might not apply to that many of you. So basically, as you know, businesses can only be at like 60% capacity, and they need to spread out, have their physical distancing measures. So we've basically taken an existing permit that the city already has, which is a special event permit. That way we can process these temporary outdoor permits administratively and quickly, as opposed to having to take them to the Planning Commission or other type of discretionary process. And all we need to process that, we can process it online. It's free. Thanks to the City Council, they voted to waive that fee. You can do it all online, but we need a plot plan. So we just need businesses to draw out where they want to go and their hours of operation and their proof of insurance. And we can get that done in about a day and a half. We processed burning daylights already, so they should be getting out in their parking lot soon. The only other requirement that might affect some of you is that you have to be in by 9 p.m. We're not permitting outdoor uses and restaurants and dining past 9 p.m. because our commercial spaces here in Lomita are very small, and they generally abut residential uses to the rear. As someone on this call knows that very well. So we're requiring them to be inside by 9 o'clock. And then, of course, they have to abide by all our noise ordinances and all our other regulations. But that's it in a nutshell. So if there's any questions regarding that, I can take those. And then, again, we have Ryan here if anyone has any other type of questions.
Jim Leadham's got his hand up. Unmute yourself, sir. And then Bruno after Jim.
Yeah, my question is, last time I did a health fair in the parking lot, one of the requirements was that I get permission from every connecting business or residence. It was like within a block. So I had to go all around the neighborhood getting permission from everybody. Is that going to be still one of the requirements?
No, there's not. And I'm not sure. I'd have to look at why that was required for what you did last time, because that's not normally a requirement. So I would need to look at that, but that's not required. Are you the only one who uses your parking lot? You are, right?
No, I share it with the motel next door, but I would get their permission for sure. I would have that written out.
Okay. Yeah, so multi-tenant buildings, we'll have to make sure that we work that out, and with the property owner.
Yeah, I'm a single tenant, but the motel, which is in a separate building, and I share the parking, but there's lots of parking, so that would not be an issue.
Okay, awesome.
Mr. Bruno.
How about doing workout in the parking lot?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Mark, you're invited. That's something that we talked about, that may be a possibility for us when we're allowed to officially reopen. So, I would rather do it inside, but, we have classes that goes up to 15, 18 people. So, if we're restricted to 10 people inside. So I was looking at that as an option. For me, it was probably not a viable option, but, I'm just looking at all my, my options right now to see what I could and could not do.
Yeah, and for you, I would probably recommend that on the weekend, considering there's doctor's offices in your building, right? They have a pretty high employee ratio, and so I know parking can be tight in that parking lot.
Yeah,
but on weekends, it's probably empty.
Yeah. All right, so I just wanted to know if that would be allowed, but
you are.
Yeah, it would not be on my high priority list, though. But okay, thank you.
And yes, I see a chat in the chat box. Sure. That works too.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Love it. Thank you, Bruno. All right. Thanks, Alicia. Stephanie, I'm going to give you one more shot. I see you unmuted, and I know you're calling in, so we can't see you. Do you have a question? Going once, going twice. All right. Do we have any other questions for Alicia? Once again, I think this is just really remarkable, just showing the leadership in our community and the things that we can do, being creative, thinking creatively and outside the box to make this happen. So thank you, Alicia, Ryan, Mark, and our council members for making these decisions. David Parsons, did you have another question?
Yeah, I did. The term employee, what about subcontractors? Because all my teachers are subcontractors. I think we discussed the 1099s, so that's not possible.
So you have teachers and students are paying you, and then you're giving a portion of that to them, right, to the teachers?
Yes.
Back.
Yeah, essentially they're kind of renting the space, or, a subcontractor is somebody that I don't dictate what they're doing. So that would be an employee. So they're subcontractors.
Okay, let me, can you do me a favor, David? That way we're not going back and forth about, your business operations on this call.
Sure.
Shoot me an email, basically describing how you do that so I can send it to LACTA. That's the LA County Development Authority, who has oversight with this program. So I can send that to them directly and get an answer from them.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And if, David, if you or if anybody else on this call may need some guidance in that arena, because we're getting into, HR and employment issues, and with the AB5 legislation and all that stuff, it gets tricky or sticky or whatever you want to call it. So if you need a resource in that regard, I'd be happy to give you a reference to talk with somebody from an employment law perspective, just so that you feel comfortable. Each business is different, of course. So good questions. Okay. Shall we move on? Anything else for Alicia then? All righty. Ryan, did you want to say a few words?
No, Alicia covered most of it. I know you guys have probably obviously seen everything going on around us. Just real briefly, I'll touch base what our teams have been doing just to keep an eye on things in Lomita. Our sheriff's department, obviously we have a station in our city, and the sheriff's department has taken a pretty strong approach to all that's been happening on two fronts. Number one, allowing people to protest where they desire to protest. And number two, not allowing any of the shenanigans that we've seen in some of the other cities. So if they have seen anything starting to happen, they have been on it rather quickly. Having said that, we haven't seen any direct protests in Lomita. We have seen some in some of our surrounding cities, in Torrance, up on the hill. There's been a few, but all of them have remained relatively peaceful, and we haven't seen any of the looting or any other issues. And if you guys have seen any of that, or if you've had issues with that, I would ask that you get a hold of us, contact us, because the county is kind of trying to keep track of all of that so that they can, as part of their disaster declarations, track the costs associated with it. If you have seen that, I know we have one business that had an issue, and that's the only one I've heard of. And whether it's related or not, we don't know yet, but that's the only one that I've heard of. So if you have heard of anything, anybody's had any issues with any damage or anything like that, please let us know. We'll follow up on it with the county. But all in all, I will say our sheriff's department has been on top of things for us, and specifically to keep all of you and your businesses safe. So if you do have concerns with that, if you have questions or comments about it, please feel free to reach out to us, to either us here or the sheriff's department directly up at the station. I'm sure they're happy to talk through with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. And that's good to hear. I think I will actually send you, I think I saw something on social media yesterday for a particular business that I can email you about, but I think it was peaceful and there was no injury or damage. So thank goodness for that.
Please send it to us. That's great.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we're going to pivot a little bit here. I know we've got a couple people still joining even at this late date, so or time. But moving forward, like I said, we have a lot of resources here at the Chamber. One of the things that we recently did was we updated the reopening protocols on the Chamber's website, lomitachamber.org. You can click through on business resources. I'm going to send a follow-up email to all of you with links to all these wonderful things that are going on. Wearing my hat for the being involved with the 13 different sectors of the LA County Economic Recovery Task Force. Basically, this committee was put together by Janice Hahn to really try to help businesses reopen and get some clarity. And so we've met a couple times now, and we've actually established some themes around helping our small businesses get back up and running. And so we have short-term, mid-term, and long-term objectives throughout this committee's work. And really, I think the bottom line is that as small businesses, we need to get information in a timely manner. And so, the state and local levels, you've got the state requirements, you've got CDC, you've got LA County. It's kind of like, well, what do I follow? And there's been a lot more development over the past recent weeks with specific opening guidelines for, now hair salons and our retail businesses, our restaurants. So it's evolving very quickly. And we do have those links on the website. So some of the themes that we've put together in this committee is making sure that we get information out to our businesses in a timely manner so that we all know how the businesses need to reopen responsibly and what is going to be the, what the county's health department role in that. What are the inspectors going to be doing in order to help businesses that need an inspection prior to reopening? And what's really encouraging in the communication so far is that they're taking an educational approach rather than kind of what do you call it, the carrot or the stick, right? So that's something that we're really passionate about in this committee, is making sure that we get clear information out there up front. And that's one of the things that we've put forward on our recommendations, is that, get it to the chamber so we can get it out to our business community ASAP. We're looking into making sure that rents and how rents are dealt with are done in a way that supports the business owner, but also is supportive of the landlords, because a lot of the landlords might be mom and pop, so they're small business owners as well. So looking at forgiveness or abatement, as well as regulatory relief. So a number of other things have come up. I'm kind of going a little fast here, but we've got about half a dozen or so different themes. And one thing that we keep bringing up as well is any liability. And I know that in addition to the county level, through our affiliation with the South Bay Association of Chambers of Commerce, that we really want to make sure that we're moving forward with legislative efforts that can help small businesses maybe have a safe harbor. So as different liability claims could possibly come up by having employees back on your property, back in your business, customers back in your business, we just want to make sure that people are protected, our businesses are protected, and not having to pay out a lot of liability claims. So that impacts a number of different things, including insurance. But those are some of the things that we're really making sure the voice is loud and clear on. We also want to make sure that as different sectors of different types of industries, whether they're events or they're nonprofits or small business, that they're all communicating with each other. So there are 13 different sectors within this task force. And so there's a strong effort to make sure that what we're putting forward as the small business concerns, where small businesses need help, is not conflicting with any other sector. So there's proactive communication going on. The other thing that's also important to this committee and task force is financial resources. I mean, now that we have to put in place all these health and safety protocols for good reason, that's an additional financial burden on the business owner. And so the county has been open to trying to find ways to leverage their procurement channels and possibly financial relief to help defray some of those additional costs of doing business in a new future. So there's quite a few things on the objective list, and like I said, we have short, mid, and long term. We are also bringing forward AB5. I think this is a lot of different industry groups, and our legislative leaders are also looking at what to do with AB5 at this point, because certainly we want people employed, but it does pose a complication. For example, does AB5 discourage hiring or full-time employment during this time? So we're looking at it on a number of different levels. There are lots of different areas, but I think the biggest one right now in the shortest term is making sure that we get clear understandings of the protocols, how to do that, what is required in order to safely reopen, in order that our businesses aren't penalized. So that's sort of the takeaway point from that task force. We will be meeting again on the 16th, I believe, and we'll be meeting again through, I think, through July. So we will do our best as the chamber to bring you all up to speed on those different initiatives, and as we start to see progress. And like I said, as a small business owner myself, wearing my other hat, I know how challenging and frustrating this is, re-envisioning your business for some of us, reopening. So I'm optimistic and positive that the county is actually working to make sure that we get support. So stay tuned and watch this space. Any questions on that point before I move on to a few more resources we have available? All right, so as I said before, please visit lomitachamber.org. We're updating the health orders, we're updating the reopening protocols. The state and the county have really good resources to try to navigate that process. The SBDC is continuing to put on webinars to deal with if you were, I'll say, denied EIDL funding. There's a way to go back and reapply. One of our businesses is in that situation, and the good news is I think you have a number of opportunities within 6 months of receiving your denial letter to try again. And a lot of these have been cleared up very simply by maybe your credit report was locked, or they had a typo on maybe your bank account number. I mean, some of these things are relatively simple things to overcome. So the SBDC, Small Business Development Center, puts on consistent webinars. So there's a couple of them coming up next week. So again, I'm emailing all of this to you guys. Also, PPP forgiveness info. They've been doing a number of webinars on that. There's one happening tomorrow. And I don't have the time, forgive me, but like I said, I'm going to send you links to all of this. So if you're wondering how to handle PPP or you have questions that surround that, I encourage you to get on the line. Another piece, and I don't know if anybody on this call is facing this yet, but SoCal Gas is putting on a webinar concerning plumbing and gas issues for reopening your business. So if your business has been closed for a period of time, you want to make sure that your plumbing and gas are set up in a way that's safe if it hasn't been utilized in a while. So there's just a ton of stuff. And if there's anything that you guys need, certainly please reach out to us. That's why we're here. If there's any specific questions that you need assistance with, we more than likely have somebody to get you in contact with to get you an answer. So don't be shy. I think that's all I've got for right now. So again, I apologize for not putting everything in the chat, but I think it might be a better comprehensive way for you guys to have access to these great resources. I will email you as a follow-up to our call today. Any questions? Do we have anybody who joined us on the line at the later end of this call that might have a question for us? I know you probably missed the majority of the call. Okay. All right. Does anybody else want to share anything while we've got you on the line? I can't wait to see Jim Leadham and Bruno doing a workout session in their respective parking lots. We've got a parking lot too.
Well, you'll be the coach then.
Oh my gosh, I've been appointed. Thank you, sir. All right. Okay, guys. Well, with that, if we don't have any questions, I'll give you another opportunity here. Well, I'm going to have a question for you then. Going forward with these community calls, I mean, I think it's just been phenomenal. I'm so appreciative to Alicia, Ryan, and the city for just opening up these lines of communication. Please share this with your fellow business owners as you come in contact with them, if you're talking to some of your neighbors. I just want to make sure that people out there have access to this information. I have some business owners, I don't know if they're as tuned in as others, and maybe they don't know what's available to them to help. That said, for the next call, I'm thinking maybe it's more of a workshop. Some of our other local chambers are doing seminars where we have some legal advisors talking about how to reopen safely and what that looks like. You know, what are the expectations? How do you document this? How do you let your customers and employees know that you're safe to reopen? So looking at the liability issues, we were thinking of putting together some sort of a panel or bringing in our legal advisor to talk about some of those concerns in terms of opening up liability, maybe ADA compliance, things like that. So is that something that would be of interest to you? Because we could put on webinars all day, but I want to make sure you guys see the value in it. So by a show of hands, virtual or otherwise, or if you have another topic, we could certainly cover that. So what do you all need from us, and what would you like to see something in that regard? Jim Leadham says yes, shaking hands, shaking heads. I've got one.
Yes.
Thank you, David. I hear David, I hear Jim, okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I do have one comment, and I talked to the fire department, and one of the things I want to get people educated, it's kind of like CERT training, but just like I have the teachers here, and how to handle a fire extinguisher, something as simple as that.
Yeah.
Do you know how to handle one? You know, some people don't, and
Right.
some are not strong enough to do that. And they might put a fire pit out in our back parking lot, and we'll have a barbecue with fire extinguishers. So they're willing to come down and when they have some free time, is do that for the teachers here and any volunteers. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great idea. And I think I talked about CERT with Henry Sanchez a couple times, and also putting a business focus on it. I know Torrance has a BERT program for business emergency response as well. So maybe that's something for us to explore together with the city and CERT organizations to see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Well, we can wrap it up early then. Again, thank you so much. Let me see. Have any other chats going on here? Awesome.
Heidi,
Okay.
sorry,
Yes.
really quick.
Sure.
I'm going to send you just So you have it for your information, the application for that small business grant program. And so feel free to blast that. You know that we're going to be rolling that out, and it's from June 11th to the 25th. It'd be great if you could help with that.
Absolutely, because we blast here every day.
Yes, you do.
We're trying not to be annoying. We're trying to be helpful. So bear with us, guys. That would be great.
Okay, wonderful.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Okay,
All right,
guys.
thank you, and thank you, everyone.
All right, we'll see you at the next call. Please don't be shy. Reach out to us at the chamber. Have a great day, you guys. Stay safe.